change psychology of players and their spirits, everything, to the disadvantage of the visiting teams. That also could have been a point of argument which could have derailed this tournament back even before the final. Plus, of the incident between Manjai and Lameng, which led to Lameng being what's been derived of points and subsequently dumped out. Lameng had very strong arguments. For example, why do you have to hold the match, until a certain late cards arrive in the first place? When you say the kickoff is this time, it should be that time. Whether or not anyone is absent or properly registered shouldn't have mattered. So like I said, all these are things that the organizers could have done better. Even though as a new committee and as new administrators, and of course the fact that they have been empowered, the zones have been empowered to run their own affairs, yes, you can commend that as a very good move. And so far they have carried out the tournament and was able to agree and disagree among themselves up to the final. Yeah, you can commend them at some list, but then of course they have to be criticized for really laxing on guidelines, and definitely allowing a lot of errors to go in, which could have been problematic. So we'll come to the final day itself.
Yeah, we'll come to the final, but you have heard what Mr. Cham has said. Proper organization, proper planning, rushing things has always been the problem.
Yeah, I think it is symptomatic of the greater Gambian way of managing football and deciding what to do in football, and it is not good. We've seen he's given us a systematic breakdown of exactly what really transpired up until the final. It is not good for the game. If we want to get something out of our football, we should prepare very well, get everything set, and then go to the football game. Football is that emotive sports that you wouldn't want anything to rush. You wouldn't want to rush anything. You want to prepare fully and then get the game underway. Exactly. I was very surprised when the date was set for the zonal champions. It is a community game and people embrace this thing so much. And we all know that. Compared to the FA Cup, the league, it's a totally different ball game. I went to watch the league, the Super Cup, and I realized, the disparity between the two, it's very wide. Yeah, the Serekunda East game, the final, had a lot of fans. I went to the Super Cup, very few people, but proper preparations. Where do we base our arguments when it comes to bringing a proper game plan for our football? Rush our game, get fans in, then we get into trouble. Prepare our football, we have a future to get our game somewhere. But this is exactly symptomatic of our football planning in this country, and that should stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's obviously a very, very important, because if you look at even the organization of the fixtures, you see a team playing today and then play two days later you play, and a tournament like this, at least you should have. We should have enough. Teams should have enough time, and then
and a high intensity game, because if you look at this, most of these games are local derbies. In all very big games between teams that are big rivals. They play to their highest level. You want players to recuperate properly, to regain their fitness, and you don't. Most of them end up playing in national teams. You don't want to destroy their potential growing up, and that's very important in their development.
Yeah, although to be fair with the organizers, what they said was, okay, for the first time the GFA had agreed with stakeholders, especially the zones, to work on a calendar, football calendar, and in that football calendar it was marked that the Super Nawetan should take place early December to mid or late December, so that the league could come in. So the organizers can argue that yes, they had very limited time, so they have to squeeze the fixtures and rush it so that it can be completed. Yes, they can argue that could also be. In fact, now they are saying that now that the league is not starting until a couple of days or weeks later, if they had known, they would have spread the Super Nawetan, to cover a great length of time to allow the teams to rest and prepare for matches. Yes, that is they can argue that, and they have a ground against that. But overall, this was a test case for them, And I'm sure the GFA was looking around to see how they would perform. Now, if I am going to rate their performance, that's what some of the things I have highlighted would actually have been areas where I think they have not done well and could have avoided. For example, the fixtures. You know, I mentioned the allocation of venues and of course the non-adherence to rules, basic rules of player identification, what was ignored. And that is a point that could even result in more conflict.
Sure.
You know. Then, of course, there was this fixture you talk about. The fixture is in fact, is arranged in such a way that after the first round, the top 4 are qualified to the quarterfinals, and they were all fixed. Team A was to meet Team A, etc. But if you look at the fixture and what turned out to be the actual fixture, were different. There was an error in fixing which quarterfinalists should meet the other. That was also another error. You know, I mean, and what happened is decisions are taken in a rush. Normally, in fact, not the entire representatives of the zones would be there. You know, so it will be few key people would decide it, or maybe in some cases one individual. And then once it's done, they said, oh, we have already sent this on air, we cannot go back to do it again. That's why you find the semi-final between Banjul and was it Bem? Shouldn't have been, it should have been Banjul Brufut, I think, something like that. And they admitted that was an error. These are all points that could have resulted into conflicts that you need to scrutinize before releasing them. So these are areas where you can say the organizing committee need to learn from so that they avoid tension before the final. Good. Now, I think, if you will allow me now, I think what happened on the day of the final is a catalog of errors that actually degenerated into the violence. Now, you see, and the repercussions that follow the final. All these are things that I have a critical, view about. For example, let's first talk about what happened. Okay, the Bakau people, rather, Brikama went ahead 2-0. Bakau equalized. There was great atmosphere in the stadium. There was excitement, and there was hope on all sides. Bakau was hoping that they can go ahead to win, while Brikama said they could go ahead to add more goals. It happened that Brikama did have a goal to make it 3, but then the manner the goal was scored was disputed by a lot of people who said, okay, fair play should have been observed. And then, before this, you have the question of the referee. People went to this match, the various camps went to this match with preconceived minds. This was the referee which we had trouble with the last time. 2000. Obviously, 2000. Obviously, Bakau people would be there to check on, and to capitalize on any errors that the referee might have caused. And frankly, I did not, see any fundamental big error, that could have really put the game in disrepute up to that point. So you would see, I didn't see any scenario that could have provoked Bakau's anger up till this late in the match, this incident. And in my view, what happened was when this goal was scored and Bakau felt that, okay, the referee could have used his discretion and, use fair play. But fair play itself is it's discretion. But when you have a preconceived mind that Modes Jallo, who is the referee, is always against us, then you don't believe anymore in what he thinks is reasonable. Anything he does is unreasonable to you. But at this point, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think we'll come to the other points. I think he mentioned a very important point here. That is the decision of the goal.